あなたはこの世界に来て7日間、ずっと眠っていたの。ここはクワッドラトム。
And they say America is the land of opportunity. Heyo!
Black Sunday here.
So, last April 10th, the video game world was greeted to a 20th anniversary event of one beloved franchise, Kingdom Hearts. Truth be told, I spent all night checking out how this event was going down.
Which turned out to be a big mistake.
For almost 3 hours, I was left half asleep while waiting for any news that may come out of it. But as it turns out, extra security was added to the event so nothing would get leaked until the show was over. Shortly thereafter, we got news on 3 of their games, the conclusion to the short-lived Dark Road, their new Pokemon Go clone / Genshin Impact clone hybrid Missing Link, and the biggest one of the bunch, Kingdom Hearts 4.
Now you're talking.
We see an older Sora, Strelitzia from Yin Cross back from the dead, and she introduces Sora to the first of many worlds, Quadratum, the world Sora is bound to for abusing the power of waking. We also see an action sequence of Sora fighting a new Darkside Heartless that is reminiscent of Chernobog from Fantasia. And some of the sequence is reminiscent of some fight sequences that was used in the ill-fated Final Fantasy Versus 13. Finally, we see Donald and Goofy looking for someone in the darkness. Some say it's Hades, and that may be him, but it's too soon to really tell.
What's the point?
The last portion means that Sora will not be completely bound to Quadratum for long. This opens the door for other worlds, those connected to Quadratum, for Sora to explore. And it's these worlds that I hope to experience in this game. So, what are these worlds we're likely going to see? It's time for...
Kingdom Hearts series.
What are the worlds it will be in KH4?
Let me first say that this is just a theory. It's not confirming any worlds for Kingdom Hearts 4. It's not necessarily the worlds I want to see in, and should not be taken as fact.
At least for the time being.
Not to mention, these worlds are in no particular order except for the first and last. If you want me to have a wish list of the worlds that I want to see in Kingdom Hearts 4, leave it in the comments below.
Get on with it!
Without further ado, let's take a look at what worlds that will likely be in Kingdom Hearts 4.
Number 1.
Let's state the obvious. Quadratum.
Well, duh.
There's too much connection to Versus 13 and Kingdom Hearts lore for Quadratum to not be a playable world. There are 2 black coats also in the preview.
More on that in a future video.
So this world has a lot of significance. Yozora and Riku are supposed to be here to help Sora, and that's also for another video. As for the forest likely connected to Quadratum, I could definitely see a collaboration with this character. Dr. Indiana Jones.
Dr. Jones, good luck.
Since this game will likely focus more on live-action features,
Please don't put in any of the bad remakes, and I'm looking at you, Will Smith.
Sora can get help from Dr. Jones to explore and discover some of Quadratum's secrets and goodies in order to get better weapons, better spells, better clothing.
I get it.
Yeah, but if this does not happen, that's okay. All we know for sure is that Quadratum is the main world for Kingdom Hearts 4.
Number 2, number 3.
2 worlds, any worlds, from Star Wars, preferably Hoth and Endor Moon.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
I've noticed a lot of fans online are freaking about some parts of the teaser, where they claim that this rock in this portion is a foot of an all-terrain scout transport, or ATST. Truth be told, I actually think that this is the foot of a rotting Gigas. But regardless, we are in agreement on one thing. Star Wars will likely be in Kingdom Hearts 4. It's similarly live action to Quadratum. Tetsuya Nomura has been vocal about being a Star Wars fan, and the biggest one of them all? A potential fight against Darth Vader! Hoth can serve as the Tundra world for Kingdom Hearts 4.
Unlike a certain Disney world that I won't mention that was used in 3, because of how butchered the story was.
And Endor Moon can come much later on. We'll likely partner up with Luke on Hoth and Han Solo and Leia on Endor.
And since Harrison Ford played both Solo and Jones, it will make the problem of World Order more interesting.
You're right. You're right!
The theme for these worlds is the battle between light and darkness. Sora has been in this battle many times before and will go at it again with new antagonists. the Master of Masters, and his foretellers. And regardless of which world, Darth Vader needs to be a boss. I would kill to have Sora go one-on-one with him. So do you.
Number 4.
The Kingdom of Dunbrook from Brave. This is the first of at least 2 Pixar worlds that I'm expecting to be in Kingdom Hearts 4. The theme of changing fate in the film Brave makes Dunbrook a perfect fit for this game, as Sora sacrificed himself to change Kairi's fate. Not to mention, it will likely have an original story to go through, much like how Toy Blocks and Monstropolis got original stories in Kingdom Hearts 3. We'll have Merida as a party member, and will likely face an enemy that is also original as... Spoilers! Mordu was struck down at the end of Brave. There's also the possibility that we'll have a connection to Dragon Quest as well.
What did you say?
We've had connections to Final Fantasy and The World Ends With You in Kingdom Hearts, and we'll likely see more of those references in 4. For Dunbrook specifically, I believe now is the time to have Square's number 3 property to be in it as well. Just imagine that you have to find and destroy a monster from Dragon Quest that has been harassing Merida's kingdom.
I love this plan! I'm excited to be a part of it!
Speaking of Square's properties...
Number 5.
Marvelous Manhattan, featuring the Avengers.
On your left.
Objection!
Actually, it all depends on what Marvel wants to do, if they are truly involved.
In a video post by Kingdom Hearts YouTuber HMK, I had a great debate with one of his subscribers. At first, since Crystal Dynamics and Eidos were being sold, I thought that Marvel will not be included in Kingdom Hearts, period. But I learned that just because its developers are gone, doesn't mean that its properties that came with them will be excluded from Square's other projects including Kingdom Hearts.
And frankly, I really hope this isn't related to the Avengers game. The gameplay mechanics and the way you leveled up each Avenger royally sucked. It's clunky and somewhat unnecessary. The only thing that made me play the game is the story. Thankfully, the way you advance and the game mechanics in Kingdom Hearts 4 will be significantly different. We may also get to face a villain that has so far yet to make an appearance in the Avengers game, like Ultron.
Imagine Ultron using an army of Gigases to further his plans.
As for the theme, it's about how a hero's work is never done so long as that person has that role. Lastly, it should have an original story, much like how the Pixar worlds are getting them. It should take place in an all-new story by itself. Or, if they want to take the MCU route, they can have Ultron return after the events of Age of Ultron.
Similar to how the story of Big Hero 6 continued in Kingdom Hearts 3.
And the only thing I want from the Avengers game is the ability to use whatever 2 companions you want. Like Captain America and Thor, or Iron Man and the Hulk, or Black Widow and Hawkeye. Mix and match.
Hold it!
As much as I like Spider-Man,
My personal favorite, in fact.
he'll likely not be a playable character, because if he is, Sony will pitch a fit. They will want Kingdom Hearts 4 to be a PlayStation exclusive. I could be wrong, but the game has been confirmed to be multi-platform according to an Nvidia leak.
Plus he's been erased from memory in the MCU by Doctor Strange.
We may, however, have Miles Morales as a DLC summon, exclusive to PlayStation. But summons are for another video.
Oh, and one more thing.
If you wish to read the debate that I was talking about, look up HMK's video in the description box below.
Number 5 alternate.
If Marvel truly is out as I originally thought, then the superhero world will be Metroville from The Incredibles.
Go!
If the Avengers are not going to be in Kingdom Hearts, then The Incredibles are the next best thing. It will have an original story like all Pixar worlds are getting these days, and we could possibly have a revisit of a certain old supervillain.
No, I'm a new superhero! I'm Syndrome!
In my opinion, next to Lotso, Syndrome is Pixar's most evil character ever concocted. He killed numerous supers and tried to make them obsolete by selling his inventions. And in the end, he also tried to kidnap Jack-Jack and make him his sidekick. It would make a true war of words between him and Sora. The theme here could be consequences. Mr. Incredible shunned Syndrome as a boy, and that led to the latter's hate towards the former. It will make Sora think about his own consequences that got him into Quadratum in the first place. Not to mention, with Syndrome having worked with robots before, he could get his hands on Gigases in order to exact his revenge on the Pars. The final boss for the world will likely be Syndrome's personal Gigas, as fighting Pixar's characters directly is considered a no-no in the accord between Square and Pixar, as already mentioned. Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl will serve as party members, with Dash, Violet, and Jack-Jack helping in the background, likely as reaction commands.
And one more thing, if this happens, give Zara a superhero costume.
Where's my super suit?
Number 6.
Nowhere.
Hold it!
As in the planet? From Guardians of the Galaxy? I don't know about you guys, but I got Guardians for Christmas and I enjoyed every last minute of it. From the nostalgic look in Peter's room to the final battle, Guardians of the Galaxy was a fun game, and I want more in Kingdom Hearts. Now, granted, again, its developers are no longer with Square, but since Guardians are a part of the MCU, a story featuring them can still happen.
We'll miss you, Nicky Gold.
We'll miss you always.
And despite this, Guardians will still very likely be in Kingdom Hearts 4 because of how close it is to live action. And the theme here is friendship, no matter how bad the connection is. If Sora is going to have an on and off friendship with Yozora, that can be utilized as a great lesson. I am down to visiting the spaceport of Nowhere, where we have to fight Heartless and Gigases. Give me either one of these two teams, Star-Lord and Gamora, or Rocket and Groot.
I am Groot.
Why not Drax? He could be the victim in this scenario. His subsequent partner, Mantis, only knows mind control. Not to mention...
He's an asshole.
But don't tell Dave Bautista that. He might come out of retirement to kick my ass.
Number 6 alternate.
If Marvel is out, then the likely replacement to Nowhere will likely be Axiom City from WALL-E.
First things first, Fat Zara.
Enough said.
Since people gain substantial weight on the Axiom due to space travel, in order for Sora to blend in, he'll likely get pretty big, and likely be bound to one of those hover chairs. The world will likely be in the city where WALL-E had been cleaning up trash for centuries. However, the city will likely be populated again as the Axiom will have landed after the events of WALL-E's film, with the strong likelihood of exploring the Axiom itself. The story can work out with the Gigas reactivating Otto, and in turn get help from the Gigases to force the ship back into capacity because of the override directive that is still likely going on. The former captain will likely be held hostage, and Sora and his friends will have to rescue him and deactivate Otto. WALL-E and Eve will act as party members. By the time we reach Otto, however, it'll be too late. Otto will be able to gain independence from the Axiom, and we will have to fight him as a Gigas. Defeating Otto in Gigas form will force him back to the wheel, where the captain will be ready to shut it back off and save the town. The theme here will be love. Since WALL-E and Eve, two robots mind you, love each other very much, it will get Sora thinking into how much he loves Kairi and how much care it took him to save her in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Or if he's ready to admit his love or not.
Look, you love this woman, don't you?
Yes. Hold it!
Maybe Chrono Trigger gets involved? I'm not sure. But regardless, if Marvel is out, Axiom City makes a great alternate to Nowhere.
Number 7.
Te Fiti Isles from Moana.
You're welcome.
Outside of Olympus Coliseum, Te Fiti Isles is likely going to be the only world from Disney Animation in Kingdom Hearts 4.
Those of you who are thinking Frozen 2 will be in for a table that thought because of Zora's predicament.
Why call it Te Fiti Isles and not Montanui? That's because Montanui is an island of multiple isles in this world, and Te Fiti is their god. If Nomura-san decides to call it Montanui...
Okay, fine, I'm cool, I'm fine.
As for why it should be in here, it's a source of nostalgia for Sora, as this world is very similar to his home, Destiny Islands. The talk about restoring hearts like Te Fiti's can also be an important point to the plot. Not to mention...
Do you smell what The Rock is cooking?
The Rock needs to lend his voice of Maui to Kingdom Hearts. Let him be a party member and make him sing You're Welcome. It's quite literally the only Disney song that I will listen to outside of A Whole New World.
It doesn't matter what you think!
Number 8.
La Tierra de los Muertos, or The Land of the Dead, from Coco. Since Strelitzia came into Quadratum,
likely from Lusu's assistance in Union Cross,
she is on the false pretense that Quadratum is an afterworld, when it's actually the realm of fiction. Then again, she may also have a connection to the dead, having been there herself. Going to a world that is associated with death and a possible war of words with Ernesto de la Cruz definitely fits the story for Kingdom Hearts 4. I can see Sora connecting with Hector and maybe even Miguel. We'll see. Dante is more likely because he's an Alebrije, and Sora will mistake him for a Dream Eater. The final boss will likely be either De La Cruz's Heartless or his Gigas.
But there is one more thing.
There is a chance that Miguel might be getting a Keyblade. Why have a Pixar character wield a Keyblade and subsequently join Sora on his adventures? It's a symbol of Sora's increasing level of maturity.
Finally!
A lot of Pixar's films are coming-of-age stories, which will be important to further Sora's character. To make it fit, there should be another Pixar character coming with. But that's for another video.
Number 9.
The last world in the game, and likely the cover art for Kingdom Hearts 4. Daybreak Town!
Go back?
In Kingdom Hearts lore, this is the place that started it all. The Master of Masters, having fought actual darknesses, taught Lucio and the Foretellers everything he knew, and then started a Keyblade war to call out the 7 deadly darknesses to be possessed by him and his disciples. And since the final boss of the game will likely be the Master of Masters himself, Daybreak Town, in some shape or form, is a fitting place for it.
Wake up!
And that's all the worlds I'm projecting to be in Kingdom Hearts 4. There will be worlds that won't be explorable, i.e. in cutscenes, and there will be mini-worlds as well. Olympus Coliseum should be backed by popular demand, and the 100-acre wood should also be backed by tradition. And with that...
Hold it!
I know.
We will discuss this in another video. Until then, recap time! Take it away, Mr. Mac.
There are a total of 9 worlds projected to be in Kingdom Hearts 4 Quadratum for its connection of Final Fantasy Versus 13. 2 worlds from Star Wars, preferably Hoth and Ender Moon, because they fit the art style. 2 Marvel worlds, 1 for the Avengers, 1 for the Guardians of the Galaxy, also because of the art style. Dundrock from Brave, for its theme of changing fate. The Land of the Dead from Coco, for its connection with death. Te Fiti Isles from Moana, for Sora's connection to home, and Daybreak Town, a fitting place for a final battle. If Marvel is out, then the alternates to Marvelous City in Nowhere will likely be Metroville from The Incredibles and Axiom City from WALL-E. Many worlds will include Olympus Coliseum and the 100-acre wood. Now all we do is wait to see if this list is true. And if it's not, is it larger or smaller? Is it better or worse? Are some properties getting more limelight than others? Is Miguel getting a Keyblade?
I don't want to play games with you. I want answers.
If you like my videos, please hit the subscribe button and give them a thumbs up. Also leave out comments, as I certainly love debates. Thank you for watching, and remember, you will receive the information you seek, or my name isn't
Black Sunday.
Job well done, lad.
See ya!